Now, before we get into like learning all about how to input notes and manipulate notes and all that kind of stuff, the first thing that we need to understand is the relationship between the content that is selected in the main arrange area and how that relationship works between selected regions of MIDI data up here and what is displayed in the piano edit underneath, and how we can exploit the different ways that relationship functions. Okay, that's very important to understand that. So let's deal with that first. Okay, so up here I've got a 4-bar cycle loop, and in it there are 4 regions that happen to be a bar in length, and I've coloured each one a different colour. Right. Okay, now both the edit windows are linked. We've got these chain links on solid yellow, which you do by clicking or double clicking them until they become yellow, and they want to both be yellow. All your chain links want to be yellow. That way we've now linked the 2 editors. And the only other thing you need to pay attention to is this little blue walking man. Okay, he is the catch playhead guy. Okay, now by default, the way that Logic works out of the box is what I would call, it's set up to work in beginner mode. Okay, and in this beginner mode, if the catch playhead guy is off, when you hit play, he comes on. Okay, so he's always going to be on when you hit play. So as I say, Logic by default is set up for kind of like beginner mode, and the way it works is this. It's just set up to work in a very simple way. You simply click a region on a track. It appears in your editor down below, so we're like soloing it in place, so to speak. We zoom in so it fits our edit window nicely, and we've got this 4-bar cycle loop going round, and we hit play, and the blue man will come on whether he's off or not. Okay, and then as that cycle loop plays around, we simply click on a single region and its contents become available to edit in the editor. So we're soloing a region at a time and editing it in place, so to speak, while we listen to the overall loop go round. And every time the playhead comes back over the region we're editing, we get to hear our edit. Okay, and this is what I call kind of beginner's mode. We just choose a single region at a time to edit. Okay, and even though the playhead is spooling around following its cycle, so even though the playhead goes out of our edit window view every time it cycles around, the single region that we select stays put in the editor and doesn't jump around. Okay, so what happens if we try to edit 2 regions? I shift and left click to bring regions in and out of my edit selection. Okay, so now I've got 2 regions I want to edit on the same track, so I zoom them nicely to fit my editor. Okay, now even if this guy's off, I'll turn him off, right? But he's still going to come on as soon as I hit play, so watch what happens. So I've got two regions selected, and there they are in my edit window, zoomed in nicely, but the cycle range that I'm listening to extends outside of my edit window. So I hit play, and this blue man will come on by default. And as soon as he comes on, he's the catch playhead guy. So as soon as he comes on, once we try to edit 2 regions, the catch playhead guy comes on, as he always does, and then the edit window starts jumping around to catch up with the playhead. So we can no longer keep our zoomed regions in the middle of our editor to edit, because as soon as the playhead goes outside of that view, it jumps to follow the playhead. The only way we could edit 2 regions or more without them jumping around is we got to zoom out until the entire cycle range fits in our editor. But if we're listening to a longer part, a longer cycle, and we've got to zoom that entire cycle in on our editor. I mean, basically we want to get the contents that we're editing to zoom to fit nicely, and we can't do that in this basic beginner mode that Logic works in out of the box, unless we're only working on 1 region. As soon as we select more than 1 region, it starts jumping around, right? Okay, so this is no way to work. What you want to do is put Logic into the professional mode, let's say. Okay, so to do that, we go to Logic Pro, Preferences, General, and we look for the Catch tab. There it is. Okay, so look, catch when Logic starts. De-tick that. And now this catch guy won't come on every time we hit play, look. Right, we now decide when he's on, and we make him come on and off manually. Alright, so we now have control over catch playhead guy. Okay, leave this one tick, catch when moving playhead, and then we must tick this one, catch content by position if catch and link are enabled. Well, our link, the chain, is always enabled. It should stay like that all the time. So by ticking this, what we're telling Logic is we're setting it so that we are catching the content by position if this catch guy is activated. Okay, catch content by position if this catch guy is on. All right. And now it gets really interesting. Okay, so we're now in this more professional way of working with Logic, let's say. Okay, we set the preferences different. And now we activate the catch guy manually. Okay, so we leave him off, and we can still work the same as before. We click a single region, we zoom in so it's nicely fitting our editor, and we hit play, and that cycle loop cycles around, and that region we're editing stays put, even though the playhead is cycling around outside of our edit window. Okay, and just like before, we choose a different region and it stays put in the editor, and we simply make our tweaks, and every time the playhead comes back round we hear what we've done. Okay, so we can still work the same as before, a single region at a time, and it stays put even when zoomed and even when the playhead is cycling around outside of that view. Okay, now what happens if we try to edit two regions? Before it was a complete flop, right? Because as soon as we put two regions into edit and we got them nicely fitting our editor in terms of zoom, well, every time we hit play the catch guy came on and it started jumping around. Well, that won't happen now because we can choose when we latch the catch playhead guy, so we just leave him off, and with him off there is no catching of the playhead, so we just get our two or more regions nicely zoomed in, hit play, and the same thing happens. We can edit multiple regions now on the same track, and even though the playhead spills outside of that view that I'm editing, it doesn't make the edit window jump around, and I can edit the two or more regions at the same time, and every time the playhead comes back round as part of its cycle I get to hear my edit. Alright, absolutely brilliant. But now the fun really starts, because now watch what happens when we put the playhead guy on. Okay, I select any region on that track, turn on the playhead guy, zoom that region in nicely so it fits, and now watch. Now I hit play and watch what happens. We are now catching content by position, and that means we're catching content by the position of the playhead. And now watch what happens when I hit play. It will cycle around this loop, and as the playhead crosses each region we're catching the content by the playhead. So as the playhead crosses each region, its content is catched, and that region's content is automatically updated and displayed in the editor. Okay, now this opens up a world of extra possibilities. Okay, let's say this is a song I'm working on, and I have looped a section of the verse, so I can hear a bit of the verse in context, right, going round and round. And these four regions are my bass line that I've created by penciling in a bass line, right, for this section of the verse. Okay, so I kind of got it. It sounds pretty good, but I'm wanting to now do the fine tweaking, where I'm listening to that bass line going around as I'm listening to that little section of the song, and I'm listening out for things like notes that are a little bit too loud or too soft, or I need to adjust the velocity, or I'm listening out for notes that need to be shortened or lengthened. All those little tweaks that make my bass line or whatever pattern that little bit extra groovy. All right, so this is a great way to work, because you simply loop a section of the song that you want to tweak, fine tweak, and you select the track and you select any region just to get something displaying in the editor, and activate your catch guy and hit play, and watch what happens. The regions update as the playhead crosses them, right? So what I do now is I listen to my music, to my bass line, and I'm listening for things that need tweaking. And as soon as I hear something that needs tweaking, I will delatch the guy. Ready? Yes, there. Okay, now as the playhead crossed over this blue region, I heard that high note there, this one, right? And I heard it and I thought, every time I hear that high note, it's a bit loud. So when the playhead came back round and I heard that loud note again, I delatched at that point. And because I delatched when the playhead was over the blue region where I heard that problem note, as soon as I delatched, That then makes that blue region stay in my edit window, but the loop keeps on going round. Then I can tweak that note all while the cycle is continuing without disturbing anything, and that single region will stay put in my edit window, and I can tweak that note I heard and then relatch and keep listening until I find another note I need to adjust, right? So you do it like this. There's the note, delatch, and now the blue region is in my editor. So I think, yeah, the velocity was too loud, so I lower the velocity and I'll wait for it to come round to hear it. Okay, that's perfect. So I now latch again and it starts updating as I listen, and I'm listening, and as soon as I hear something else, oh, there's something, and I delatch when I heard a problem in the green region, and of course the green region is now in my editor, and the loop goes round and round, so I never lose the context of listening to that section of the song, but the place where I heard the problem is now fixed in my edit window, ready to tweak. And let's say that I thought that this note was too short. I can now extend the length of that note. I hear what I edited as the playhead comes around. That's better, and now I latch again and I keep listening until I hear something else. Yes, I think in the red region that last note is too... There's something wrong with that. Yeah, there, so I delatch and that note is in the editor because I delatch when I heard the red region, and it's this note, it's too late or something, or too early. Yeah, that's better. And then relatch and keep listening, and when I hear another thing, unlatch, adjust, whatever it was I heard. Yeah, relatch, listen again. Unlatch, tweak that note again, relatch, and you just keep going like that until you've got it lovely, and you never have to interrupt the cycle loop. That can keep on going, and you can drop anytime you want to drop one of these regions into solo mode, so to speak, to edit it in place while listening to the loop undisturbed. You just delatch at the point you hear the problem, and that region will be in the editor. Fan-bloody-tastic. Okay, now, one thing you may have noticed is that when I select multiple regions, I'll select all of them now. Okay, and there they all are in my edit window. And you must have noticed this. Pardon me. I've got a red, blue, green, and purple region, and I've selected them all, and there they all are in my piano edit. So I can see multiple regions in my piano edit. But you've got this little, you've got this little coloured vertical line showing you the left-hand beginning edge of each region. Okay. Now this ability for multiple regions to display in the piano edit window, multiple regions on the same track, is exactly the same on the screen set based version of the piano edit. Okay, so I've got these 4 regions selected. They all appear in my piano edit on the tab based version, so I go to my screen set based version and oh my god, they're not there. Okay, this is a logic bug. If you ever have multiple regions selected and you go to your screen set based piano edit and you do not see multiple regions displaying, you simply double click on the background, yeah, and then they appear. There they are. Okay, so it's just a bug. You just need to double click to get multiple regions showing. Okay, so look, this left hand boredom line that's color coordinated to match each region, so we can see the left hand starting edge of each region. Let's look at that a little bit more. Now at the moment each region is a different colour. Okay, so the way people normally work is each track, all the regions are the same colour, so like all the bass regions on the bass track are red, and all the drum parts are blue, and all the guitar parts are green, etc. Right? So well, let's set it like how people would normally work. I'll bring up the colours and I'll make them all red. Okay, but you know, and the same thing, we get to see the left hand edge red line of each region when we've got multiple regions selected. Now that's useful, but it becomes even more useful if your regions are different sort of lengths and they don't all begin exactly on a bar. at the moment I've got this 4-bar cycle loop, right, and there are 4 regions in it, and each region is exactly a bar in length. But let's change that. Okay, let's just change it so that these regions are all not a bar in length, and they don't all begin exactly on a bar. Okay, like something like that. Okay. There we go. So I've got 4 completely different size regions now, and only the first one begins exactly on a bar. The others don't, and none of them are a bar in length. Okay. So we highlight the whole lot, and look, I'll just bring up the bar line strength so we can clearly see the bar lines. Okay, and this is very useful, because now this is the way people normally work. And when you've got these multiple regions selected now on a track, and they are odd sizes and they do not begin exactly at bar markers and things, it's very, very useful, this left-hand border indicator line, because I can now clearly see, this is bar 1, this black line is the start of bar 2, that's a bar line, bar 3, bar 4, bar 5, but I can also see where the beginning left edge of each of those odd length regions is within this 4-bar loop. So I can clearly see this is the beginning edge of the first region, this is the beginning edge, and that's therefore the second region, this is the beginning edge of the third region, and therefore that's the third region contents, and that is the beginning left edge of the fourth region, and that's its contents. It's very, very useful, that. Okay. Right, let me reset that grid. Okay, so there you go, loads and loads of things. Let me set this back how it was. Okay, now, so I've shown you individual and multiple region editing on the same track, but I hear you ask, what about editing multiple regions, 2 or more regions on different tracks, not on the same track? Hello, what have we got here? Oh, look, we've got a couple of extra tracks. Okay, now, so look, this red track, where everything is red, that is my high strings, and the blue track is my medium strings, or mid strings, and the green track is my low strings, and I'm working on a 3-part string harmony between low, mid and top strings. Okay. Okay, so let's just isolate that one little bit where we've got the harmony, and I'll use a key command for that. So make sure this is the active edit window, do my custom key command, and if you want these custom key commands, they're in the other chapters. Just look at the other chapters. It's very important to use these key commands because you'll save so much time. So I'm going to use the custom key command. Press 0 will set the left-right locator exactly to fit that region. In other words, this command fits the left-right locator to the selected regions or events. There you go. And now I have got the red contents down here in my editor, and I can make that single bar cycle loop now fit my editor completely by making sure that the piano edit is the active editor and using the custom key command, Command Alt Z, which is fit left right locator to width. There you go. And now my left right cycle completely and perfectly fits my edit window. Okay, so there's the contents there of the red track. That's my upper strings, and now let's shift and left click to bring in the mid string track. Oh my god, there it is. Now we've got the 2 tracks in the same editor. Okay, let's bring in the low strings. Oh my god, there's the low strings. So now let's have a listen to that. So unmute these. Okay, so now I can work on a harmony part where 3 different tracks are creating a harmony part of music, like in this case a harmony string part, and I can edit the 3 tracks in the same edit window. Therefore I can work on the harmonic relationship between the 3 different string sections, but all in the same edit, as if I'm editing the same single instrument. It's absolutely fantastic, right? Now, there is an issue with this, which is that by default Logic colours the notes by their velocity, which means if I get the velocity tool, purple is the lowest velocity, and then it works up as you increase the velocity through blue, then green, then yellow, then orange, and then red for the loudest velocity, right? Okay, so by default Logic has got the notes coloured by velocity, and therefore with all these notes from 3 different tracks being in our edit window at the same time, there's a danger that we could get them muddled up, and then we could be in a world of hurt, right? So what we need to do is go to our local menu bar, View menu, and here we are, look, notes are set to velocity colours by default, so we just change the notes so that they are coloured by the region. So we set the notes to take the region colours. Oh my god, as they say on Jerry Springer. Well, now look, this is just fantastic. Now we can edit away on our 3 different tracks, all in the same edit window, our high strings, our medium or mid strings, and our low strings, and there's no danger we're going to mix up which notes belong to which track. And this is now fantastic. And the other beauty of this method is that even if you've got no musical theory at all, right, you don't know any musical theory, you can have these 3 different tracks or 2 different tracks in the same edit window, and you can work on the harmonic relationship between the 2 patterns in 2 different tracks, or the 3 patterns in 3 different tracks, all in the same edit window, so you can visually see where the notes are in terms of their distance from each other, which is their harmonic relative distance. So even if you know nothing about harmonies or music theory, you can experiment with the harmonic relationship between the patterns by simply moving notes up and down and listening like this. Do you know what I mean? I could even like take this entire low string track part and try adjusting its pitch, so I've got my low strings lower down, like. See what I mean? Yeah, absolutely fantastic. It allows beginners with no musical theory knowledge at all to create harmony tracks between different instruments. And if you think about it, think about the other possibilities. I could work on a bass and sub-bass line at the same time, right? I've got a bass on one track and a sub-bass on the other track. Each track is triggering a different synth, a different instrument, but I can have the sub-bass and the bass patterns in the same editor and work on that bass line where I'm using bass and sub-bass together to make up my whole bass pattern, and I can see exactly where the notes for each instrument are and work on my pattern of both synths combined together. It's just so fantastic because you always can see where the other instrument, where its notes are. Or another way that this works fantastic is, for example, these could be 3 different percussion tracks. Okay, this could be high percussion, like say a conga or something, a bongo or something. These could be mid percussion, like djembe, conga or whatever. And this could be bass percussion, like surdo or trap drum or something, right? And the point is, you've got 3 different tracks with 3 different drum sets, sample sets of percussion on. A high percussion, a mid percussion, and a low percussion. Now the patterns of the 3 will combine to create the overall percussion groove. Well, imagine how easy it is to work when you've got the 3 different drums inside the same editor, easily identifiable by colour, and you can simply, you know, when you're working on the high drums, you can see where the low and mid drums are sitting in the pattern. Trust me, it just makes working on patterns where there's a relationship between different instruments and different tracks. It makes it so easy. It's absolutely fantastic. And with the colouring of the notes to the regions, absolutely no danger of getting muddled up as to which notes belong to which track. And don't worry about the fact you've turned off colour by velocity, because if I just go to adjust the velocity, you can still see the velocity by the length of the line inside each note. Like the length of the line as a percentage of the overall length of the note is the velocity. So if it's halfway, the velocity is about halfway. Yeah, simple. Okay, there you go. There's a whole bunch of things to do with the relationship between the two different editors. The arrangement where you build your song, and the piano edit where you edit the regions. Okay, and all the little tricks that you can do and different ways that you can exploit that relationship whilst using the catch playhead guy and everything like that. Okay, so now we've got that down, we can now get on to the actual editor in terms of looking at how to input notes and manipulate notes and all that other stuff. Okay, so let's move on to that bit.